Hello, how are you?
I'm well.
Excellent.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be in your kitchen.
I'm so happy that you're here. So this is the lovely and talented Neesa Kenemy.
Hello.
She is a star of stage and screen and Pilates and a whole bunch of other things. Lovely woman, smart, talented. Can't say enough about her. She's
Bad baker.
Well, I wouldn't be a bad baker. Maybe a novice.
Novice
baker. I'm a vintage baker. I'm a vintage in so many things. So anyways, we're going to make pretzels for a bunch of reasons. It's fall. I got sweet potatoes. Neesa's kids love pretzels. It's what we're going to do. So if we want to put together, if you want to put together, you sure do. So we're going to follow this recipe that you probably can't see on screen, but you know it's here conveniently located.
Pumpkin pretzels.
Pumpkin pretzels. So we're going to put a tablespoon of yeast in the bowl.
Okay.
You know, yep. And just throw her in there. Doesn't have to be level, doesn't have to be anything, just in and go.
Okay.
It's great. And then we're going to put 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. 1 and 2. Excellent. Then we're going to take this already poured lukewarm water. Not too hot, not too cold.
Cutest. Oh my gosh.
It's pretty adorable. Yeah.
All of this?
All of it, the whole thing.
Okay.
Yep. Just throw it in there. Now, I usually just kind of take my fingers and go, if you're comfortable with that. Yep. If you're not, that's okay.
I have never gotten yeast to work ever. Just so you know.
Okay, well,
So,
I promise you this will work. We're putting the sugar with it, so the sugar is feeding the yeast.
Okay.
So it's basically doing this right now.
Okay.
We're also going to take this.
Like that?
That's perfect. And you see how already you've got like little boofy bits?
I guess.
Yeah, no, it's still working. So this is the PDF, the pâté de ferment. You're going to kind of break that up and put that in the water.
All of it?
All of it. Put the whole thing in there. That is from a previous batch of dough, like marshmallow-sized pieces. That will help the new dough work. The yeast has already been working in that, so it's nice and relaxed. The gluten in that is nice and relaxed. It basically will help teach the new dough that you're making how to be ready. You can forget about it for half an hour. You can forget about it for an hour. You can work on it almost immediately.
Okay.
We're going to work on it faster than later because we're filming and time and all of that stuff. So in the meantime, while that's just sitting for a moment, we're going to take 4 cups of flour. And again, just scoop it and throw it in there. Ain't no thing.
Do you do level? Do you do
Yeah, you can. I am not that guy, but all the books tell you to be that guy. All the blogs, all the Instagram posts, baking is a science. Oh my goodness, who am I to say they're wrong?
I think when you're a novice baker, it has to be a science. And when you get to be
When you get to be old, yeah.
Times,
And there we go.
I did not say old.
No, that's okay, vintage. I'm good with that. We also have to do our sweet potato, which I completely overlooked. So these are lovely Ontario sweet potatoes. They're from the Lake Erie region. A lot of sweet potatoes were planted there when tobacco got phased out, because if you think about the South, where you think of sweet potatoes, you've got cotton, you've got tobacco, you've got sweet potatoes. So we had a lot of tobacco up here, and now we have a lot of sweet potatoes.
Love it.
They're small, they're tender, they're lovely, and I honestly believe, and I'm not paid by the Sweet Potato Council, but the smaller and the more tender and the less fibrous they are. So if you're going to buy them, if you're going to try this out, definitely lean in that direction. So we need half a cup. And so just, again, get in there, just pull the skins off. If these are warm, skin comes off a little bit more readily. And then, of course, always put your skins in the compost. Or give them to the squirrels. The squirrels like them.
Throw them in the backyard.
Yeah. And if we're lucky, maybe one of the squirrels will come and visit us today. And then if you're just mash it up, just, you know,
like this?
Like that, if you're comfy. Yeah, I know, it's like a, you know, Sienna would love that for like the slime factor.
Oh,
she totally
yes,
would.
She would. Oh,
so there you go.
That is the slimiest. Oh, I barely even deal with it. Okay.
So you've got that happening. And then again, just use, you know.
Is that good?
That's great. Okay. That's exactly what you're looking for. Hello, sweet girl. How are you? Did you want some sweet potato? No? Okay. Sometimes she will, sometimes she won't. Into the flour, we're also going to put half a teaspoon of salt. And it's both for flavor because, you know, every salt is needed for everything. But also it helps with it slows the yeast and the sugar from taking over and being crazy.
Okay.
So then you simply incorporate, because you don't want the yeast to hit the salt right away because that will kill it. But you want the salt to be involved, if that makes sense. So then, I'll get these out of your way.
Show me the contents of the bowl.
Oh, you can't even. Look at that.
Mmm, boo-wah-ha-ha.
Oh, it's like, this is like my daughter making slime. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Edible slime.
Edible slime. So there you go. So just throw that in there.
Throw it in.
Yep, the
Okay.
whole thing.
I'm notorious for just throwing things in and
Yes.
totally messing
No.
them up.
Can't do that.
See?
And one of the brilliant things
appreciate
about
your relaxation.
food is that if it's not, I made these cookies for my friend Carolyn a while ago. Hi, Cara, how you doing? Hope you're loving London. We miss you. We really do. Anyways, they were supposed to be biscotti, and I was chugging along to be biscotti, and I don't know what I did, but at the end they were soft cookies. They didn't look anything like biscotti, so I simply melted some chocolate and stuck them together, and I still gave them to her because, you know, that's what you do. And they were fine, and no one knew.
Next.
So, yes, but I would use your hands over the spatula. Again, if you're not comfortable, I'll do it. It's okay. You want me to?
Go.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
All right. So when you're making pretzels, there's no fat in them. When you make a lot of yeast doughs, there's often fat, and that gives you a certain flexibility and a little bit of leg room. So when you're putting this together, you're going to say to yourself, cripes, this isn't going to work, but you do want to work it a bit. You see it's a little kind of clumpy and shaggy and not particularly attractive. And as you work it, you can feel it, like you can see the difference. You can feel that it's coming together. It's almost like making pie dough at first.
Oh. Yeah, it does look like pie dough.
It's that kind of dry.
Yeah.
The sweet potato will release a certain amount of moisture as it sits as well. But if you need to add an extra splash of water, there's no judging. There's no, like, really. Sometimes, and every batch of flour is different as well. So if your flour is milled in the wintertime, or you have winter wheat or summer wheat, they have different gluten contents, they have different dryness factors.
How are you supposed to know that?
Well, I don't know. They don't tell you this. I
just know.
I know this because when I started baking and cooking, if something wasn't working out, I had to find out. So I'd have to get on my bike and go to the library.
Yeah. Oh.
This was long before the internet. Or I'd knock on people's doors of restaurants, like go to the back door and say, hey, can I hang out? I'll work for free.
Yeah. Oh.
So you see, this is shaggy and ugly,
Beautiful.
but it's almost all come together. I think you should feel it, just so you give it a moment. Yep. And you can throw it on the. I often choose a larger bowl so I can do it in the bowl, so there's less mess on the table.
Can I throw it on the table?
You can throw it on the table.
Throw it on the table.
Absolutely. Bada boom.
Woo! That was fun.
And then just exactly
Like that.
Give her. You're not going to get a homogeneous, beautiful dough like you would, say, with a challah, or even like the fluidity of a focaccia. You're actually going to get this stiff, shaggy mess.
Okay, so here's the other question. If I keep going, do I wreck it?
You're not going to wreck it, but it wants to relax at this point. Like, you see how much torque you're putting into it to get it to come together. If you let it relax, and the gluten kind of does its thing, and the moisture gets absorbed into the flour, needs to relax as well, then what you end up with, the power of TV, this will be this in
my goodness, look at how
just a
awesome.
couple of hours.
Okay.
So you would never know, but it's the truth. We're at 0.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to put 6 grams of yeast. 4. Yeah, see, and this is why in North America so many people just use a set of measuring spoons and a cup.
5, 6.
Especially if you're home, because
6.
really, you.
Got it.
All right. We also want to add to that 40 grams of honey. Good luck with that. But you know, the other thing, it never says in the recipe. You know what? If it's 46 grams, who cares?
Terrifying. I find this terrifying.
I'm so sorry. Don't be afraid.
46, 7.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want. And then, oh, it's so good. And it looks so beautiful. It's very
Gorgeous.
Miro-esque. So then we're going to weigh our water out
Beauty.
as well. And water weighs the same in weight as it is in volume. So you're going to put 500.
500.
Yep. And it's warmish.
Yes, it
The
is.
kind of water the way you want your baby bottle to be.
Yeah.
Looks like you want a little bit more. Yep, you just want to splash.
484.
So close. I'm going to say,
You do this.
do this. I'm going to say let's go with 5. A tablespoon of salt for this particular one. And if you don't have enough salt, that's where you get like the big bubbles and the soft product. When you have salt in it, it makes things more toothsome. And we may add more flour to this to get it to the consistency we want. But you see how it's when I say it's cloudy, it looks kind of murky, and so that's how you know also your yeast is working. As well, you can smell it. Like there's a funky isn't the right word, but there is a yeasty smell.
Yeah, yeasty.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so
yeasty.
if you don't smell that, then you know your yeast
It's
isn't
not happening.
working. It's a living thing, so I usually keep it in the freezer. Because then it doesn't move, it's inert. And then when you know you're going to need it, you pull it out so it warms up to room temperature. So it just kind of does its thing. But if you keep
You
it in
put this in the freezer?
yes, and
This
it will
yeast?
and it
So
will last
cool.
forever.
Wow, I had no idea. Okay.
Years.
Okay.
Years and years. So
And you didn't put sugar in there this time.
we put honey in.
Oh yeah.
And so it has, different, more gentle properties, but it's also very traditional with German pretzels. If you sort of think about, Bavaria, and God knows I've got the arms for it, then it would have traditionally been a honey as opposed to a refined sugar. People wouldn't have had refined sugar.
Yeah.
They might have used birch sap, which was also very common, even more so than honey, but honey is what we're doing. And you can see you've got little bubbles happening. You can see where it's working.
Awesome.
Oh, and you need a PDF for this.
Okay.
Yep. I'm going to go back to slime gel.
Okay.
Sorry
All right.
about that.
Here we go. Okay.
All right.
Oh, we're going in.
We're going in.
Ah. Okay.
And actually,
Absolutely disgusting. And so satisfying.
but there's such a pleasure in the tactile, in the repetition, there's a comfort. And I don't want to speak for Dave, but I think there's a certain comfort in the solitude of baking and just sort of living with yourself and living with your dough.
Quietly.
Yes.
When the world hasn't
Is
woken
still
up yet.
snoozing. Yep.
How much am I doing?
I would say you're doing
More?
great. Nope. And again, boop.
Put it, okay.
And throw it in there.
Woo! That's cool. That is cool. Oh my gosh. Honestly, you know why I know so little about this?
I don't. Well, because not everybody makes pretzels at home.
My mom baked, and now my husband bakes.
That's true. He's a beautiful baker.
And so I don't,
You don't have to.
Now. Why would I ever bake?
Because, if you enjoy it, then you should. If you don't enjoy it and you're provided for, then, your skills go to your other many skills.
And you feel how, I'm terrified, right? Because there's so many people around me that bake so beautifully. But it's gorgeous. It's such a lovely thing.
It is.
I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. Okay, hands?
If you can bring yourself to do it, yep. If not, I'm right here to jump in.
And also growing up, all I did was dance. Literally, every night. Came home starving, somebody else cooked for me, and then I went back to dance class. So.
That's a huge amount of energy and a huge amount of focus.
It was, but I didn't, there's a bunch of things, like this summer in the pandemic, we were like, what are we going to do with the kids? So we went to the park with some neighbors, we had some kites. I didn't even know how to fly a kite.
Wow.
because I just never did
It just didn't happen.
It just never happened. My
Right.
neighbor was like, "What? You don't even?" So he's like teaching me how to fly a
That's so
kite with my
nice.
kids. Yeah, it was cool.
I mean, you get to a point where you're not.
Okay, it's really sticky.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay.
Don't be afraid. Oh, geez, now you're making a mess.
Sorry.
No, come on now. And yeah, just do that. And if you absolutely can't stand it, just wash your hands.
Oh, I
in the
love
sink
it. I
behind
actually
me.
love it.
There you go. Oh, so pro tip: take these are your hands.
Yeah.
Take the flour and do that, and it will help that come off.
And then do it on here.
Do it on there or do it back in the bowl, whatever. Yep.
Okay. Oh, so fun.
Oh, sorry, sweetie. This is gorgeous. It's so sticky.
I don't know.
If you're not familiar with roll, so this is a tool. The I don't even know what this part of your body is called. The heel of your hand. Perfect.
I know that part.
So you use that. That's sort of where your force comes from. You push it down. You pull it in. You push it down. You pull it in. And what you're doing, I'm going to unroll what we're doing. It's kind of, I don't know if you can quite see, but
Yeah.
you're essentially making a little envelope.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And you're making another little envelope,
Oh, cool.
and another little envelope, and what you're doing is you're making the gluten stretch. And you're also, in the inside, making a small little pocket, and warmth will gather there. Where the warmth gathers, that's where the yeast is like, oh, this is so nice, I'm under a little duvet, I'm happening. And you can feel, even in a room like that's cool, you can feel the dough, the yeast working in the dough, you can feel that little bit of warmth. And that's also another way that you know, especially when you're doing stuff by hand that's supposed to be rustic, that it's working. You're also then creating that little pocket, so you have all these little bits, and you think, oh, this is shit, I'll just scoop that into the bin. You're actually going to just scoop that back into your dough, and then nothing goes to waste.
That's so cool.
And you turn it over, and you do it again. Now this guy has been worked enough. It probably could take more flour, and if we were doing this in an industrial capacity, if we had a mixer, I would force it, but because of what we're doing and how we're doing it, I'm going to say, nope, this is good. I don't want to overwork it. We're just going to let Buddy rest.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and yes, and you know, it's funny you should do that. I always, you pat your dough like baby's bum. And so you know your dough is ready when it feels like a baby's bum. It's got that warmth.
Cool.
There's, you know, certain shapes. It's all, and all of these little bits, sweep them into the bowl. Yep, and they will be incorporated when the dough has rested and relaxed next time. And what you're going to end up with, much like the other dough, et voila,
Oh my God.
right? So I'm going to take this out. We're going to work on that. So this is from yesterday. It's the same dough. If you feel it, just like poke your hands on it, you'll feel there's soft spots, there's sticky spots,
Yeah.
there's
Hard spots.
lumps.
Yep.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. That's because you haven't overworked it. That's because it has relaxed overnight. Put a little bit of flour down, not too much.
Yes.
Fold it and fold it. And there's going to be parts that are going to be a little bit wet. There's going to be parts that are going to feel almost velvety with a bit of flour on it. If the scale were working, I would say we'll just scale it out. But since it's not, we're going to just eyeball it. Put Buddy over. So since you folded it, I've squished it a bit. You can't
Yeah.
quite see, but you can see that there are
Lines. That's
layers,
so cool.
and you can see tiny little bubbles.
Show the
Yeah, I
people?
want to show the people. You can see the tiny little bubbles. You can see the nice soft exterior. This is what you're going for. So I'm going to say this will give us 3, say 6. And even though these don't look like they're all the same size, which they're not, when you feel them in your hands, I think those, do they feel fairly equal?
Yep.
Okay, these are going to feel lighter. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece of that off to make these feel like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to estimate you need this
Cool.
for that.
Okay.
Tell me,
Yeah. Better.
roughly?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's bang on.
Okay, and this guy,
A bit more. Ancora. That's better.
okay, and then grab this and see if that equals. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, if it's close, if it's a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So the reason you want things to be equal is because you want everything to poach at approximately the same time. You want everything to bake at approximately the same time. If you have a little weenie guy, he's got to go on a separate tray. You've got to pay attention. If everything is even, you throw them in, you go boop, 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 and then they're done. So that's the reason. Some people like to turn these into circles and then roll them out. So when you cut your dough, and everybody's got their own way of doing stuff, after you've made your shape, traditionally you make a ball and then you rest it. And when you're making the ball, you're also developing the gluten, and you're looking for a little belly button
Hey,
in
cool.
the bottom.
That is so cool.
And so your hand, you rest this and the heel of your hand on the table. And it takes practice. And so I'm going to show you 2 ways. So this, for me, I don't even think twice about it. I remember there was a lovely gentleman named Rudolph. He worked at Oliver's Old Fashioned Bakery when I was 15. And he was a big, atypical, sort of beefy German guy.
Beefy baker.
And I was this little stick of a 15-year-old kid, and so he literally would lean over top of me, and you know, that's how I learned. So for me, this is nothing.
Look at how cute.
But if you have, that's gorgeous. It's happening.
More?
More.
Okay.
So
Oh, yeah.
more on the side.
More.
Yep. And yeah, if you need to be at a different angle,
Yeah.
again, you're home, you're here, no one's watching you except for Dave.
Oh, great. Yeah.
You just get one with your dough. If that's difficult, or you're not comfortable, or you're thinking, oh my god, I'm going to screw this up, then you take your piece of dough, and that's beautiful, and you fold him. And then you do this, and it's almost like rolling a fatty, but with dough, but not quite. And so then you make this lovely little tube. So you pull them out, okay, and then you fold them in, and push it down a little bit. Thirds, yeah. And so you can see, this is an easier way of sort of, you're not working the gluten as much, but you're still working the dough, okay? Then you take your fingers, you push them in, and your thumbs,
Yeah, feel it up.
you use them to roll,
Oh,
and you
that's
work
cool.
it into,
Oh, yeah.
and so by rolling it, you're still working it into, and then you let that rest.
That's so cool.
And that's kind of satisfying too.
Yeah, that is. It's really
It's like you're
neat.
taking these baby steps and you're getting to where you need to go to.
Is that good?
That's
Is that enough?
gorgeous. So we're going to just put a small dusting of flour, but not too much. Just add that to the pile. And then,
Okay, I need more than this one. Sorry.
no, that's as you want.
Come on, ball. Get round. How much?
It's also, sometimes it's easier if I've tried to make these sort of the hand scale to the size of your hand.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's actually easier if you could do 2 hands
like that.
and go all the way around.
What if I just... I have this weird point on the top of it.
That's okay.
All
You
right,
know what?
leave it?
We're just going to leave it.
Okay. Stop fussing.
Yep.
Got it.
And really, unless you're working in a Michelin 5-star restaurant where everything is fond, these are going to be beautiful. They're artisanal,
Right.
or they're rustic,
Right.
or they're whatever, but they come from the heart, and so tell me people aren't going to love them. is our pumpkin dough or our sweet potato dough.
Yeah.
So this is great.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Excellent.
Nailed it.
So now feel them in your hands and say, this is, you know, this is the weight that I want. This is what I'm going for. Obviously, some are bigger, some are smaller, but we will still work towards.
This is about the good weight.
Okay. And just like, don't be afraid to pinch a piece off.
Oh, okay.
And if we don't get the full 12, if
Yeah.
we get 11
I
or we
see.
get 9, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, those are. So these ones are light.
Okay. So of the light ones, we'll do that, maybe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
Good.
All right. So this is a softer dough because it's got the sweet potato in it. It's not got the same strength as the other one. It's meant to be soft, like that's just what will happen. So
Oh,
we're just going to make our little... But when you pull it, you won't pull it quite. You'll see if you pull it all apart.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
there
Oh,
it's
this is neat. I love this. I love this.
it's similar but a different
So fun.
animal.
That's fun.
Do you think the kids would want to be involved in something, or would you feel comfortable if the kids were
the kids?
to come
Oh,
here
they'd
and
love
do
it.
something?
I love it.
All right. I think it would be kind of neat, you know. The food service professionals, their enthusiasm, their precision.
What happened
The
that
kids
one
just
time
having a good
you
time,
made
you know.
one time you were over baking with my kids.
We
What was
made
it?
sour
worm.
gummy worm cupcakes. Yes, and we laid them all out, and it was fascinating because all of the kids' personalities came out.
Of course,
like
'cause there
so
was sugar in
clearly.
one of them.
Well, no, but not even that. They were like, "Oh, we should cut them this big. We should line them up. We should."
Funny.
Let's all take turns. And they were all working together
Yes.
so incredibly well. It was truly delightful. They're all going to get rolled out as we go along. Right now, we're just resting them a little bit. All right. So here we are with our lovely sweet potato dough once
Yeah.
again. And Neesa, so talented at such a young age, is showing off her Pilates skill and strength and her dancing background by using her body to keep the table from shaking.
From shaking.
Because, you know, the table's from the 50s. And like myself, it's vintage and a little
It's not exactly
creaky,
leveled.
you know. So
Okay, so that's the sweet potato one.
that's the
done.
sweet potato one done. So we're going to let this sit for a moment.
Okay.
Then we're going to do essentially the same thing
They're so cute.
with these guys.
Okay.
So,
Oh, see, there's the table.
yeah, no, back to it. Yep.
There we go.
Excellent.
See, boys,
Good work.
the table.
We'll get this fixed for the next episode. Or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just, you know,
Fine.
keep it. It'll be
I'm
one of
happy to
those.
stabilize.
They are. So we're rolling out the dough and we're trying to leave a little belly in the middle. That's just a very traditional sort of thing. You give it a slit before you put it in the oven.
Okay. Oh, this one has an air
That's
bubble right in
perfect.
it. Oh, so
my
fun.
God. See, now you're a professional.
Oh, so cool.
And we're going to keep the two doughs separate because they are. They're slightly different doughs. So when it comes time to forming and poaching, we're going to have the sweet potato doughs together as a family. And then the white pretzel
long
dough.
enough?
That is gorgeous. Maybe a little bit longer because it will also, as it sits, it's going to shrink back a bit.
Okay.
And
Come on, dough.
while we're making these for home, not for the restaurant, for example, if I was rolling these out at Eastbound, and Chef Tara is brilliant at her pretzels, it's really one of her things, it would probably be almost as long as the whole table by the time all was said and done.
We're going.
We're going.
Same
Yes.
thing?
Same
you're
thing.
doing a little
I'm just doing a little thing because
No,
I
of
find it
course.
makes it easier.
Of course.
Sort of forms it in that shape.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like a Lucy and Ethel kind of episode. I don't think they ever got to pretzels. You know, they did grapes, they did the candy factory.
You know, the last time I did this was with Play-Doh in a drop-in center
Perfect.
at a preschool
Nice.
drop-in with Sienna, like 9 years ago.
Wow.
I love it. This is so fun.
And because you're not doing this for the restaurants, there's not the same kind of pressure. You're
Right.
just kind of, you know, if Dave wasn't filming, there'd be music on in the background.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Ruby would be in and out.
Is that good?
That's
Oh,
gorgeous. So after you've rolled them,
Okay.
let them rest for just a moment. And so on the trays,
Yeah.
we're going to
Oh, so cool. Okay.
set them up. Now they don't have to be this shape. They can be this shape if you want. That's sort of the traditional kind of.
I
Yep.
wanted to see how you did that.
All right. Again, if you need to do this just sort of a little bit one more time,
Yeah.
a little bit longer. So you have your ends in your hands,
Okay.
and you bring them over. So it looks like, so make it look like a little AIDS ribbon.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we are.
Then a little twist, one more, and then up and over.
Eee.
Now
Oh,
these,
my God,
because we're
so
making
cool.
them smaller, they're going to be quite boofy and they're going to end up being condensed. You're not going to see as much of the traditional pretzel shape once it's been poached, because when you're poaching it, then it's going to expand. Gorgeous. But they're going to be cute as a button,
Yeah.
and they're going to be delicious. So then you're going to make the little ribbon.
Ace ribbon.
Yep. And then again.
One more cross.
One more.
Over you go.
And that's it.
And then make it bushy.
Yep.
Wait, that was not it. It's going to be good this time.
Perfect. Yep. Sometimes I just braid them. Sometimes I don't even make them pretzel shape. Sometimes I turn them into little snails.
And then you turn them, I notice you're putting them
Oh,
upside down here.
yes, because then the weight of the dough sits on the other dough,
Oh, cool.
and as it sits, it adheres a little bit better. You can use a little bit of liquid or a little bit of honey if you want to stick them to make sure that they're stuck. And you simply dot your dough, and then it's not going to come apart.
Okay. Yeah.
That looks great.
Sort of.
Yep.
Sort of.
Nope. They're all lovely. Ta-da! There we go. Look
Okay.
at that. Another one of the last of your first. And we have had so
That
many.
is so cool.
So many
That is
last
so
of our first. So now, Dave, magic of television, we're going to go over to the stove and we're going to poach these puppies.
Okay. I am surprised those don't fall apart in the water.
I know, isn't it neat? It's really cool. There is so much magical alchemy about cooking that happens
I'm gonna freestyle
every
this one?
single
Sorry to
time.
interrupt.
No, keep going. So they're kind of,
Wow.
I'd never really thought about it till this moment, but they're sort of like, they're dumplings in a way.
Right.
Right? They're baked, yes, but they're poached first to give it, this would traditionally be lye, not baking soda. That gives it the shellac, it gives it the taste, it gives it the firmness, and it gives it that, that color that you see, like when you look at pictures of pretzels online. So you
Ooh.
see how,
It's got such a tangy smell to it too.
yeah, the water is now alkaline because of the soda.
Oh, the soda, right. Baking soda. How much baking soda did you put in that?
In this, I put a generous cup. I think a really good ratio, if you were doing it on a larger scale or more often, is 6 liters to 250 grams of baking soda, which is a lot of baking soda. It's what we do at Eastbound. It gives us perfect results for that. This is a smaller pot, so, you know, a little bit less water, so that's what I'm doing.
Oh, neat.
These are the beautiful, this is the first time Neesa has ever rolled a pretzel, and oh my God, look at them. They're gorgeous. She's a natural.
Okay, do you want an egg wash on there?
I do,
Right now?
absolutely. Right now,
While
even though
they're
they're wet, while they're warm.
Like on all of it, just the
Yep,
top?
generously, all of
Generous.
everybody. Don't be afraid. I used to make these at the Spoke Club, and I couldn't keep up the volume of making pretzels at the Spoke Club.
Oh, God.
And I had a really big rondeau, and I would put, like a couple of dozen in at once. And boom, boom, boom.
One of my best friends, Karen, she got married to a man that's in Switzerland, so they wanted to sort of like represent different cultures.
Sure.
We had a breakfast celebration.
Nice.
And it was beer and pretzels.
Perfect.
It was so lovely.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. And it was really the first time I'd had it as like a cultural food, not just like a thing that you have at whatever, the CNA.
But that most people stick their toe in the water there, or in the streets of New York. And so, if you would egg wash these guys for me as well. The temperature in the room is really important to any yeast dough. And we are so fortunate today. It's such a beautiful f***ing day.
Gorgeous.
That has expedited the process for us here, long-winded story. Because the temperature in the room is good, these are working, the dough is working as it wants to. We're not having to slow things down because it's not warm enough, or conversely, when it's too warm and the dough gets tacky and then you've got to rush things and you don't get the product that you really want. So then, after you've slid everybody, no, don't. It's a fun kind of process, right? I do have straight razor blades. I just don't know where they are. But traditionally, you would just have a straight razor blade either in your hand or on a stick, and you would just go like you were trying to, slice someone's neck. Gorgeous. So then, give them another quick wash, not too much of a wash.
Did I do?
I would use Fancy Pants salt, but all the Fancy Pants salt I have is flavored with chilies or smoke or something. So when you bake it, it turns a particularly unattractive color because of the agents that are flavoring it. So I'm not going to use the Fancy Pants salt like I would if I was in the restaurant. We're just going to use a little bit of regular sea salt.
I'm going to go over there.
You can go. Where you have to egg wash those.
Yes.
We want to do these to get them in the oven.
Okay. Done.
So if you could just do a gentle sprinkling of salt on all of those puppies. I'm going to do a gentle sprinkling. Sesame seeds, poppy seeds are actually very traditional as well.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to pull some out of the freezer. Because Germany, because Bavaria. It's gorgeous. Yeah, Tara's got a really good blend. And so you got a little bit of onion, you got a little bit of garlic, you got a little bit of all of the seeds. Yeah, make sure you get the good side of my arm, would you? Ta-da!
Woo-hoo.
And here we are, Neesa Kenemy's very first soft pretzels.
Oh,
beautiful.
How gorgeous.
Instagrammable. They might even be worthy of YouTube. So these are the lovely Ontario sweet potato ones. Yes, that's right, folks. Buy your Ontario sweet potatoes.
Can I put these
Support your local farmer. Absolutely.
Okay.
Throw them in.
Top, bottom?
Yep, either or. We're gonna move them around. And there you go.
Oh, look it.
So here we are. We have some beautiful boofy pretzels. They're lovingly handmade, obviously homemade. I'd like to see. They are Teutonic, Bavarian, Germanic in origin, obviously, bastardized over the years. I too am, Germanic, Teutonic in origin, obviously bastardized over the years. My great-grandmother on my dad's side was a Heinzman. Of the Heinzman Piano Company fame, which to people of a certain age in Toronto might mean something. To this generation, I can see it drawing a blank. Her family came from Germany to Philadelphia, and from Philadelphia up to Toronto. She was not attached to the wealthy branch of the family, but just to the everyday part of the Heisman family. When I was a little baby, she used to babysit me, and apparently some of my first words were German, because that's what she would speak to me. I remember absolutely none of it, but I have this memory of being told this many times in my head, which is really sweet, and I got the big arms out of it as well, so that's great. And I got my love of baking German-related things. I don't ever remember her baking or making pretzels. This is something that I learned working in the restaurant industry, working at different bakeries. It's something that we have at Eastbound on the menu. They're delicious. It's something Neesa had never done before, so it's one of the last of her firsts, and it was lovely having her here to give us a hand and learn a new skill and just kind of share the kibbutzing. And so I'm going to send Dave home with some of them, and he's going to have some butter and some beer and some pretzels tonight, and so it's win-win for everyone. And there you go.
Two.